data analysis on the Scott Forsman assessment that we give every week. 75% of the students scored out of 70% or higher. This is based on the Unit 1 fall assessment that we gave over the whole unit. Some of the reasons students may not have mastered is because they are reading below grade level, and we know that that is designed for 4th grade content. Students have difficulty with the comprehension. Again, they lack that 4th grade vocabulary. And when we get to the written part, we know they have difficulty expressing their thoughts. Here's the spring one that we took in March over Unit 5. 85% of the students scored higher than 70%, which is good. That did increase. And only 15% scored below average this time, whereas in the fall we had several that didn't. Again, some of the reasons that students may not be scoring 70% or higher is because they have that difficulty learning those 4th grade skills. They're below grade level. And that writing really gets them. Here is a comparison between fall and spring. So as you can see, in the fall we had 5% scoring below 50%, but in the spring we didn't have any students scoring below 50. And it continues to increase all the way up. That shows us that students are grasping a better understanding of the 4th grade concepts that are being taught. I know that in the Scott Forsman book, some of the skills are retaught several different times, so that helps them build that understanding. One of the reasons, again, they may not be meeting mastery, which is 70% or higher, is having difficulty reading the material on the test, so they don't understand what it's asking. Just a summary about the Scott Forsman assessment is 30% of the students scored below average on Unit 1, and then it dropped to 15% scoring below average on Unit 5. So all the students have shown growth and that they are mastering some of those 4th grade skills. We really still need to focus on writing their responses and expressing their thoughts, because we know that that sets them back sometimes. Okay, so now we're going to discuss our next steps for how we can improve comprehension. The research question number 1. So we can all turn this around so we can share. If anyone wants to speak, I will.
Excuse me. I know sometimes we talked about having small groups at the teacher. Red exclamation dots on their Lexia, that means they're stuck on a skill. So I guess like making sure that we're checking those every week and pulling those students and people who are also we see struggling and just having those small groups. I guess that could probably help be more specific to certain children to help boost that comprehension.
The lessons that I print from Lexia on the skills that they're struggling with, the lessons really seem to help them.
Do you have anything?
Well, I would say on, the chart that you showed with the amount of time, and it looks like some weeks you are getting that 100%, which is great, and then there are other weeks where it was around 50. So I would say just looking for if there's a way to have 2 or 3 pieces of technology in the room and on a rotation basis, those who were absent that day or had to be pulled during that time could just go over and get that extra in whenever they finish work, or you have some type of group work or center work going on, to just keep that time up, because we know hitting that expected time is so important because it's based individually on what that child needs in the program.
And that's one of the things I said was that making sure, we could just even have it as like a center, making sure those students who didn't get their weekly time in can get it in during then. So, okay, sounds good. Go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. So part 2 of the presentation is the PLC focus question that we did the survey on at the beginning of this course. That was the trust. It showed us what strengths and challenges does the trust survey reveal about us as a team. There were 5 members, 3 of the 4th grade teachers. One was in her 4th year of teaching and one in her 19th year. Curriculum coordinator who focuses on all subjects, and the RTI interventionist who focuses on students who are served in Tier 2, Tier 3 reading, math, and writing all the subjects. So we did the trust survey. It was 1 page. We used it because the trust is not always high in our building. I felt like this one was a good one to use for our PLC, and it gathered information about us as far as the trust, and there was 5 of us who completed it. So, and then there's just a picture of the one that we used. A copy was placed in each PLC's member's mailbox. Since we only meet once a week, they were completed on their own time, and it was unanimous. A member, and then you were placed back in the mailbox for the data analysis. And that just kind of sums up where we had disagree, neutral, agree, somewhat important, very important, not important. There was a total of 16 questions. One section just focused on about the level of trust, and then the second one was a response about how to improve trust in the building. Based on the content of the questions, I divided into 5 different sections. So observations, communication, collaborations, relationships, and support. So this one was based on observations, questions that were related to different, like staff observations, interactions in the classroom, as well as culture in the classroom. And so the first graph does the not important, somewhat important, very important, and then the bottom one does disagree, neutral, and agree. So if you look at the top, said that 80% agreed that observations in one another's classrooms were very important. We didn't have anyone who said somewhat important, but 20% said not important. So 80% said that they feel welcome in the classroom when they come in. You know, it's not always known when someone's going to pop in your classroom. 20% down here said they felt neutral about it as far as feeling welcomed or not welcomed in the classroom. 80 said it's very important to feel welcomed in the classroom, that makes a huge difference. And 20 said that they just thought it was somewhat important to feel welcome. The next part, I broke down was communication. And on this one, we had 100% say that it was very important that we have communication with each other and that we share those learning results during our PLCs. And 100% agreed that that we have that. So that honesty is very important. The next one is collaboration. So talking about sharing materials, working together, collaborating as a team. 100% said that that was very important. And then down at the bottom, we had 80% said that they agreed, and 20% said that they were neutral as far as making contributions, sharing resources, and that information. And the next one is relationships, and this focused kind of like our relying on one another, our relationships being comfortable around one another, sharing successes, that kind of stuff. So 100% said that having a relationship with your colleague is very important, and that being comfortable with one another is also very important. 40% agree that they believe successes are celebrated, and 60% disagreed that they are celebrated. The next one was support, and that just kind of support on one another, and support as far as how it's related to is trust. So 80% said that they agree that support from your colleagues is very important. 20% said somewhat important, and we didn't have anyone who said that it was not important. 40% over here agreed that they feel supported from other colleagues in the building, and 60% said that they do not feel supported by colleagues in the building. So just some areas of strength that I realized based on our survey is that staff members do feel welcome in the classroom. We do have positive cultures in the classroom. Communication is important. Everybody kind of agreed with that. Staff is honest with one another. Collaboration as a team is very effective. We work hard together at doing what's best for the students, and that the staff members contribute equally as well with materials and working together as a team. So some area of weaknesses we noticed based on how we did on the survey was that successes are not always celebrated. Staff members do not feel supported by other members. Support is needed to improve the trust, and resources would help with the support that we see. So our next steps for this PLC question, our actions will be taken, we'll focus on our areas of weaknesses. So we said some ways we could do that will be including staff input on ways to encourage those celebrations when we see them and those successes. Staff from other areas of the building collaborating to do some vertical alignment, kind of see where you are the year below you, the year above you, and have that relationship. More support from other colleagues will be offered. A room with resources will be available, so we have different kind of manipulatives and stuff to grow and grab whenever we need those. And just making sure everyone is comfortable to discuss any kind of ideas you may have. Some school needs we kind of need for our PLC teams is some peer observations in grade levels. So being able to just kind of go observe somebody else on a different team and the content that you're teaching. Follow-up discussion conference about that observation, meeting with that teacher, kind of discussing what you noticed, what you saw. Feedback to colleagues about that. having that vertical alignment again from the year below and the year above, just kind of see where everyone's at. In this survey, it allowed me to see what our strengths and our weaknesses were as far as a team. I felt like everyone was very truthful on the survey, and the next steps, I think that they are doable. They're going to allow for collaboration, help morale in the building, celebrate the successes, and using those resources that are available to us. And if you have any questions or comments you can share. If not, then we're done. Do you have anything?
No,
I'm good.
I'm
Sounds
good.
good.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you for your time.
Thank you very much for
How
sharing.
long is it supposed to be?